Hi, this is Jim Cuddy, and you are watching Rudy Blair Entertainment Media.
Jim, always great talking to you. And before we talk about this new solo album, which is your fourth, I got to ask you straight up, who's the dude back here behind us?
Greg and Jim. I'm pretty sure this was done in Buffalo by, I can't remember. Burko? I can't remember.
That is the coolest picture.
I know, it's great.
You know, when you think about, because this to me, when somebody makes a portrait like this shows love and respect for you, the band, everything you guys have done. I mean, and I always ask you this too, icon. Do you ever think about that word? Because that's what you guys are, and that's what you are to this music industry, especially to the Canadian music industry.
Well, I certainly think about the icons for me. You know, I think of Gord Downey, and I think of Gordon Lightfoot, and the people that to somehow embody all the spirit and ethics of a musician that I like, Leonard Cohen. So yeah, I think of the word, but I certainly don't think of it about myself.
Well, you are, my friend, and that's why so many people are, of course, happy that another album out here for you with the Jim Cuddy Band. What is the difference between the Jim Cuddy Band and Blue Rodeo?
Well, you know, I try to change the instrumentation. Obviously, Ann Lindsay being the violinist in Jim Cuddy Band makes it different. But in terms of the songs, I think that writing for Blue Rodeo, I'm writing with the in my head are the other voices in the band. You know, what is Glenn play? What's Greg going to do? When I'm writing for myself, I don't consider that. I just write, and if I'm reflecting a period of time in my life, I think that it's going to be a very personal expression of what has happened to me. So I guess the songs end up being a little bit more personal, but not by design, just by circumstances.
Make sure I have it right. Constellation.
Constellation.
What does this album reflect for you today? Because listening to the album, man, I heard so many different things. First off, you sound like 20 years younger. You know, some songs are sound like it's got that rockabilly sound. Some sound a little bit of rock. Then there are some, man, it's got that piano stuff in there. And it's really like, it's different things, but really it's all you.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you very much. I think that this record, always when my records will reflect the kind of music that I want to play. So this goes Beggar's Banquet to Jackson Browne to ballads. I mean, that's the kind of music that I feel the most emotionally attached to, and so that's the reflection. And I think it's also a reflection of the players. Colin Cripps is a brilliant guitar player and co-producer, and he establishes a lot of the sounds in the record. You know, I play him a song like "Where Are You Gonna Run," and he says, "Let's make that like Rubber Soul. We'll make it tight and poppy." And I think, yeah, that's a great idea, and we aim towards that. We all have these antecedents, these oral antecedents in our head that we say, should we make it sound like this, like this? Now, for us, they're pretty old style at this point, but I think that you just come up with a happy mix of what you're listening to and what you want to sound like and what you can sound like. I think that's a big deal for artists, is what's best suited for your voice.
But did you hear but do you understand what I mean, though? You sound like you're 20 years younger because, man, there's a freshness to your vocals on this album.
Well, that's flattering. That only takes me back to 42, so that's not really young. But you know what? I have been very concerned about my voice and really looking after it and really trying to sing a lot. And because I always felt like 60 was it. I thought, well, maybe 60 you just start to decline. But then all these other people are out there singing at 65 and 70, and McCartney at 75. And I think, okay, well, the shelf life has definitely been elongated. So just look after yourself, and hopefully it'll stay that way for me too.
The first single from the album is?
Well, I think it's While I Was Waiting for You, but it seems like You Be the Lever is the song out now.
Well, let's go with both songs and storyline, what they're about.
Well, While I Was Waiting for You is really about how inappropriate everybody else is until you find the one that's right for you. And there was supposed to be humor in it. You know, there's a funny line in it that I always thought, I had Susanna come in. It was supposed to be a duet, but we couldn't work out the keys. But there was a line that says, like dates. They stumble through the door, say they're feeling kind of shy, and then they tell me their life story. Man, I could have died. And I thought that was funny that somebody came in and said they're too shy, and then the next thing they talk for 3 hours and you don't get a word in edgewise. But I didn't want to say it. I wanted her to say it. So that song was about how inappropriate it is, and I got a little flack about it being judgmental. But that's the point. The point is everybody's wrong until a person's right. And then even that right person may have flaws, but they're flaws that are okay with you. Then You Be the Leaver is about a relationship ending suddenly, and it's obviously more difficult to be the left behind than to be the leaver.
Were these songs when were these songs written? And again, are they reflecting on how you feel about life today?
They're definitely. I put in a lot of my attitudes. So if I get slack for it, those are my attitudes towards life. And yes, they were all written contemporarily for this record. So they were written 5 months before I started making the record. The record came out just recently, but I was probably done in the fall. So in the previous year and a half is when I did it. So they all reflect circumstances in my life.
As we're coming up to February, tour's going to be starting up soon, right?
Tour starts February 8th in St. John, and it's a tour with my band, of course, and Barney Bentall, old friend, great guy and wonderful artist, and my two sons, Jim Cuddy and Sam Pauly. So they're going to be joining me. They'll be joining as featured artists. So Barney will do a little set, and then my band will do some of our new record, and then we'll open it up and we'll play songs, and then we'll have them come on as featured, and then we'll end it with a big jamboree.
One of those shows is going to be Toronto Massey Hall. How do you feel about returning to the place that Gordon Lightfoot built?
I love Massey Hall. I love Massey Hall, and I love playing Toronto. And I'm glad that I'm getting a show in the last year, that before it gets transformed. And that's always a little bit more tension with that show because you want to do well, and but it's also a bigger payoff because it's your hometown, and if you do well, it's big satisfaction.
Looking forward to it, man. Look, social media, website, Twitter, all that stuff. Where do we go to follow you to see where you are and when new releases are going to be up from the album?
So I should know all this, right? I think you just go to jimcuddy.com, and I think that'll lead you to everywhere. I mean, all of those things are available, but they're not available to me.
We're reaching. Believe me, man. I do the same thing. We're reaching that age, my friend. Always great talk.
Thanks, you too, Rudy. Thanks.